Our history is like
two iconic breaking ground, making history in separate ways.
Let's proceed with what I feel is the most interesting part of the program.
All the interesting things going on in the news.
It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
There are some interesting details relating to all this. Now listen.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. If you can't be at least mildly interesting, then shut the hell up.
Let's see if they've got any interesting guests coming up.
I don't want to be rude here, but my stories are interesting.
What up, though? What it do, party people? Welcome to TIPI. This is the show where we talk to some of the most interesting people and we tell the most interesting stories. Today, we're joined by a special guest who is very near and dear to my brother KisAlan's heart. Man, you had something you wanted to say?
What's happening? Today is officially the day. I've been waiting on this day, ladies and gentlemen. The interesting part is I get a chance to vibe out with my two childhood heroes. One of which is my main man, Zurich Pickens. Y'all all know him as Rick Party, but when I tell you, me and this man tore 55th and Garfield Boulevard up, we would race up and down that street 45 so years ago, and I remember the real thin karate shoes.
Oh man,
that had the eraser bottom on it.
Yes.
I hung out with this family, and they taught me so much about family. I rode to school with them every single morning. I felt like I was a surrogate son. Obviously, we're going to get into our moms' relationships. But the last thing I want to talk about is they always had so much food. And I would go in their house and look in the cabinets, and everything was black and white. And it would just say, beans.
Beans.
Or it would say cereal.
Yes.
Yeah, but they always let me get down. This is
corn.
An exciting day. Corn.
Yes.
I look forward to this conversation because
that's what's up.
The interesting part of what we do.
All right, man. I am so excited about this to introduce a guy who has been my mentor in radio over the last 30 years, got me in the game. The doctor is in the house, Dr. Rick Party. Roll with me on this one. I got to get the glasses for this one.
Come on,
Rick
baby.
Party
Come on.
Is a ratings juggernaut and a brand innovator. He has won in virtually every major market in every single day part. New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, Miami. That's just a few of the cities where Rick has dominated on the radio. He enjoyed a successful 2.5-year run doing the Rick Party Morning Show in over 34 markets. He's also one of the most recognizable voices in the world. He's heard daily on over 30 radio stations across the country. It's hard to travel anywhere in America without hearing Rick's voice. He can also be heard as the voice of ESPN's 6 p.m. Sports Center, which is watched by over 200 million people in over 60 countries. And he's also the voice of the Air National Guard. Prior to all this, Rick has been the signature voice of B.E.T. for over a decade. He's done television network voice work for ABC, Fox, Cartoon Network, and others. Rick, who is a Chicago legend, is back on Chicago radio at 104.3 Jams, WBMX, where a lot of all of this started for us. You'll also find him on the Clubhouse app, teaching voiceover classes, as well as being one of the most powerful people in this rapidly exploding social media space. Dr. Party, as you can now call him, just received an honorary doctorate in the humanitarianism. And lastly, Zurich Pickens, a.k.a. Rick Party, was recently inducted into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. Y'all make some noise for my boy, Rick Party. Come on now. Come on now.
I would get up, walk out the door, and come back in, but I just got on my shorts right now. So.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, man, welcome to the platform, man. We appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. And as we go through all those things and you hear all those things about yourself, I know a bunch of stuff comes to mind. Tell me, for you, where did this all start? When did you know, all right, listen, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it?
So it was me and my cousin Don. Y'all remember Demi? My cousin Demi.
Yes.
Yes.
So we would sit next door, and we had Pops's Panasonic recorder. So we would record ourselves doing all these voices, Dr. Demento, Wolfman Jack, all of these voices, and we listened to the radio personalities. But Don was really the more talented one.
Okay.
Because he had all these voices, and I always found myself competing with him. And unbeknownst to me, that was the making of a radio personality. That was the making of someone falling in love with his voice. And then some years would go by. I get into high school. I'm living on the south side on 55th, had to go to Sin on the north side. I got tired of this. They got gang banging all over Chicago.
All over Chicago.
And then at Sin High School on the north side, people getting shot and stabbed. I didn't want to go to school. So I stopped going, right, altogether.
Wow.
Stopped going. I came back 90 days later. The teacher said, "Who are you?" I said, "Zurich Pickens." He said, "You don't go here anymore." So
wow.
So I didn't tell my parents about that either. So I would stay home, make dedications while Mom got tired of me. Shit, kicked me out the house, sent me live with my father in Cabrini Green, the projects.
Wow.
So I was making dedications to my girlfriend, who was in school every day. And the radio personality on WBMX FM was Earl Boston. And I would make dedications every day. He said, "Why are you calling me every day?" I said, "I'm sick." And he said, "Don't give me that. Be honest with me." So I was honest with him, and I told him I got kicked out of school. He talked me back into school, kinda. But more than anything, he became a mentor to me, and I knew that I wanted to be just like that man.
Wow. Yeah,
and that was the birth,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to get into after that, but I'm gonna walk you out to it because I'll be talking about this forever.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Now, when we and Alan, you might remember this, when we was coming up after grammar school and like kind of after high school, it's like Rick just disappeared. And I remember thinking that he must have went to the army or something. But you actually attended Columbia College in Chicago and
Columbia School of Broadcasting.
Okay, all right, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those get-it-done quick schools. Yeah.
After that, what happened?
I'm too dumb for college, man. Too dumb for college. So I didn't go to college.
Right.
I didn't go. But what happened was, after, hanging out with Earl Boston, he talked me back into school. I went back into school, and it didn't work out for me, man. I mean, it just didn't work out for me. I tried all these jobs for youth programs. And So, and I saw this commercial on television that said, "You should become a broadcaster." And I knew I had the voice because I listened to Earl Boston every day, and I had a notepad. And I just learned to write. I'd, write everything Earl was saying. I stopped the recorder, write everything he said, stop it again. And that was my practice.
Oh.
So when I got into Columbia School of Broadcasting, this young kid, 16, 17, he's ready, right? So I get on the staff radio station. They make me the program director.
Wow.
And all of these things. So I'm in there cooking. And then it's time for me to send out radio air checks, demos so that people can hear what you sound like before you get the job.
Right. It was.
So I sent it out to everywhere. I sent it to WBMX and B96 in Chicago and Z95. And I remember Lee Michaels saying, "Man, you're too young. We don't have the time to be cleaning behind nobody, cleaning your ears and all that stuff." So I sent it out to one station further away in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I was at the time I was 19 years old, and my son was born. And I said, I need to do something because I don't have a job.
Yeah.
They hired me. They said, "Listen, how soon can you get here?" I said, "How soon do you need me there?" They said, "We need you there next week." I said, "Mama, I need some money." She gave me $200. It's my first time I had on winter clothes on the plane. It's my first time on the plane too.
Wow.
I'm going to Wilmington, North Carolina, first time on the plane. I get off. I got on boots, winter jacket. And it's cold in Chicago, snowing. I get off, and magically, when I get to North Carolina, there is no snow, and it's green. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, man.
I thought it was snowing everywhere. I hadn't traveled. And that was it, man.
And then you like this guy's progression in the game. You bounce from there. How long did you spend there? Because some people don't understand that, and they ask us, "Well, where you live now?" And me all the time, "Where you live?" "I'm in Detroit. I'm in this other city." But you have to move to go up. Sometimes you have to move from one city to the next to take advantage of a bigger opportunity. Right. And you bounced to the top of the game very quickly.
Yeah, I stayed in Wilmington for about 2 months, and then Earl Boston, my mentor, who was at BMX Chicago, I called him from a payphone in Wilmington. He said, "Hey, Zurich, how you been?" I said, "Good." He said, "Where are you, man?" I said, "I'm at a radio station. I'm a radio personality now." He said, "Get out of here. Send me a tape, a demo." So I put it in the mail. He got it a week later. And he said, "Oh my God, you are incredible." See, he hired me in Macon, Georgia. I
Yep.
shared apartments with him because I didn't have no money. I was still poor. Didn't even have a car. I was probably making $3 something an hour at the time. But
Right,
I was on
right,
the
right.
radio. That's all I cared about.
That's it. That's all that matters.
I got to Macon, Georgia. Earl Boston say he's going to pay me $12,000 a year. I'm like, $12,000 a year? Oh my God! You know, I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna get a car. I'm gonna take care of my newborn baby.
Yeah, yeah.
My mind was, I didn't care, man. But I was in Macon, Georgia, and the cool part about that, Macon is about almost an hour away from Atlanta. So
Yeah.
I could tune in to the Atlanta radio stations and listen to the radio personalities that were on the radio. So I was listening to, God rest his soul, my man Domino, who
Yep.
was Power 99 at the time in Atlanta, and he was cooking. And his competition on Hot News Z93 in Atlanta was Elvis Duran.
Wow.
So Elvis Duran and Domino were competitions. They were competitors. So Elvis Duran is a huge radio personality. He's probably one of the longest running. He works in Z100 New York. They love him. He's an old man.
He's syndicated. He's syndicated all over America. I mean, you can hear his show in almost every city in America. With the iHeart on iHeart.
So I was listening to Domino and listening to Elvis Duran, and I recording them and just listening to everybody. I was becoming a mutt, man. I was a piece of everybody I listened to.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about this, Zannie and Alan, is that before I started, I had a really bad stutter. I stuttered, from nervousness. Also, I had the dyslexia thing going on.
Oh, wow.
I was dyslexic. So I would read words would jump off, and then, I had a learning comprehension problem. I couldn't stay in school. I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of things going on, man. So when I think about how far I got, I think about it was this kid who had all of these things up against him, and he used that as a superpower to overcome, and now he's on the radio. My story could stop at Macon and say, but that stuttering, mumbling, bumbling kid still made it to the radio in Macon.
Yeah.
But the story would have it. I go from Macon to Charleston to Norfolk, Virginia to Dallas, Texas to Miami. Within 4 years, I was back on the #1 station, Chicago WGCI.
Come on now.
That stuttering kid, man.
Come on
They
now.
got kicked out of school and
Listen,
all of that stuff, bro.
When I hear that story, I get goosebumps because it just speaks to, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Easy. So
I always do it. I
tell people, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
I always say there's nothing special about me. The only special thing about me is that I wanted it when you didn't want it.
That's right.
I had no choice.
That's right. That's right.
And if I could, real quick, for young men that are listening right now, for as many obstacles as you think you up against, listen to what this man is saying.
Absolutely.
It's all possible, but you got to channel those energies in the right direction. I just want to put that in now.
So it's Zannie, it's KisAlan, it's Zurich, aka Rick Party, TIPI. Thanks a lot for hanging out. If you like the conversation, subscribe to the channel. Rick Party. Because that's not the name you started with.
No, I started with Zurich Duran.
What was it? Zurich Duran, the party dog.
Party dog, right. So I was Zurich Duran all the way up to Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
So I was using the first and middle name. And I would speak really fast, and Foxy 100, it was like, Foxy 100 is Zurich, you're on the radio. I was like, you, the motor mouth, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I did that whole fast talking thing because I was listening to Domino and Elvis, and they spoke fast, and that was the thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So I was working in Charleston, South Carolina. I think Hurricane Hugo came to Charleston and just tore up the city, decimated it. And the guys in Norfolk wanted to hire me. It was Tony Richards and Steve Crumley.
Ooh.
And they heard my demo, they loved it, and I was also in Super Snake's ears. Super Snake had become my mentor. I was sending
Super
him
Snake
demos.
is that guy. Some of the names that he's saying, God, these are legends in the radio broadcast field. People that we admired, looked up to, who did damage, man. Who look back in the day. So then
I would send Super Snake my stuff, and he'd show it to let the other guys listen. And they would say, yo, listen to this little dude, right, man? He got it right here, man. Listen to him. And that just hyped me up, bro. Like I had somebody in background cheer me on, and now all these other little small stations I worked at, now the station in Norfolk, Virginia wants to hire me. And so Tony Richards and Steve Crumley, they said, so what name you go by? I said, Zurich Duran. And they said, do you have another, like, what are you, Zurich Duran what? I said, Zurich Duran the party dog. And that was my name. And they said, let us go in the office and think of a name for you. And then they came back. It seemed to me like it was an hour later. And I'm just sitting out there waiting for my new name. They said, your name will be Rick. Because they said, what else do people call you? I said, well, some people take the zoo off the Rick and just say they call me Rick. And Rick Zurek, the party dog. It's okay. And they came back and they said, your new name is going to be Rick Party. I said,
and the legend was born.
Wow.
Yeah, Rick Party.
And the legend was born.
Yeah, and that was it, man. It was Norfolk, Virginia. And I played around with that name too. I was like, it's your boy Rick Party.
Yeah.
I was going Ricardo Fiesta. I was doing I was rolling my R's, man. I was trying to find a way, but in the meantime, I was finessing it, man. I was having some fun with it.
That's I mean, and that name rings bells all over America now, though. You already know. We're all, I mean, we're talking about when we were growing up, but we're all dads now. And a lot of times you want your kids to kind of follow in your footsteps. You want them to be happy with whatever their dream is, but sometimes they see you and they kind of want to, you look at Deion Sanders' sons and you actually have a few of your children who are following in your footsteps. Talk a little bit about your kids who kind of got into the business.
Yeah, my eldest of 7, Zurich Jr., I got him in a voiceover very young. He was probably 16 years old. So while I was the voice of B.E.T., they needed a voice that was a little younger, somebody that resonated with those 16-year-olds that were watching. Because I can only do tonight on B.E.T. 106 in Park. It's still, I got the 20-something-year-old voice. I didn't sound young enough. I said, let's give my son a shot at it. They loved him. He did some 106 in Park promos.
Yeah.
And then he started doing just other commercials and stuff like that. And then I had some other kids that would do commercials just for fun, but they didn't really like it. But my daughter, Amber, she's another one. She's talented. She's a graduate of Juilliard, graduated 10 years ago. Yeah, majored in dance, and she acts and she sings and she's choreographed a movie with Forrest Whitaker and Tessa Thomas, I think that's her name.
All right.
She did that, and she's also.
Didn't I just recently see her at the
NAACP?
Image Awards on the red carpet.
Absolutely. She's hosting, right? So that's a new thing. She wants to host too. She wants to do everything she can. She's choreographed. She's been on Broadway.
Yeah,
man. She's even been to Africa to teach, to give her gift back to people. And I always tell them, I said, listen, no matter what you do in life, it's important to me that you become selfless. You don't make it about you. And when you give something to someone, don't expect anything back. It is yours to give away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What do they say? They say if you do something that you love, you'll never have to work a day again in your life.
Another day in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thanks to this, man, I've been lucky enough to live that motto for over 30 years. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But what I wanted to talk to you about, and listen, Rick has always given advice. Like if he's passionate about something, he'll call you up and say, hey, you got to do this or you got to do that. I remember he told me, man, stay in technology, man. You got to stay ahead of the game or else you're going to get left behind. And always that motivational push. And at one point, a few years ago, Alan brought this up. You were real heavy into fitness and workout. And didn't you get some kind of
certification?
Yeah.
I was a 2-time certified personal trainer.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that is because in 2008, I had a lot of internal things going on, right? Because sometimes the outside looks good, but we don't really check on the inside. And I was really all over the place with my life, and still being a father and still trying to have a relationship and with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So I had all of that going on, but I didn't love myself. And with that, but I was still being creative. I was doing some things, and I built a website called Voiceover Universe, and it garnered a lot of people from around the world to become first-time users of this social media app that puts everybody together. And now this Zurich guy is talking through a video thing where you can see him live on the social media, and now he's got all these people from. So I'm doing this website, which is the first of its kind, and people were sending me all sorts of gifts. And a guy gave me some Irish whiskey from Ireland. We had people from all over the world. He mailed me some Irish whiskey. I took a shot of that, and I don't know, man, my foot was hurting. It was hurting so bad that I got gout. And I went to the doctor. I didn't know what it was. The doctor told me that I had gout. And that same year, I also went to the doctor for sleep apnea. So I had sleep apnea. I had gout, borderline diabetic, and I was born with the sickle cell trait.
Okay.
And I probably wasn't getting no sleep. I probably was doing a lot of things. I was doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to be doing. My life was a disarray. And then the following year, you know, my youngest son at the time was 14. Then out of nowhere, this little girl is born. I'm like, oh my God, man, how does this happen to me?
You know how it happened.
How does this happen? Yeah, my daughter was born, and I knew at that point, I'm doing too much, and I gotta fix it. Now that this girl is here, I started to slowly change my life, and I had gotten very depressed, and I picked up 50 pounds of weight. So, and I was the largest I had ever been, but I didn't see it. You know, you don't see it and nobody tells you. And I think had I kept going the way that I was going, I wouldn't be talking to y'all right now.
Right.
So I had to change my life. And I saw this commercial on television. They were advertising P90X and Insanity, you know, with Tony and Horton. Yeah. So I started doing those workouts, man, and I fell in love with it. And this one program in Insanity said, you can look like this in 60 days. I said, ain't no way. I'm too lazy, but I'm going to try. You know what I'm saying? So I did it, man. I went in there. First, the first thing I started doing is eating right. And I got the weight down, and then I went to tone up, and I was cut. I was looking good. And I kept doing it. And then I said, what the hell? Let me just become professional. You know, I went to the World Fitness Association. I got certified. I became a certified trainer. Then the JNL Fusion became a certified trainer there. Then I was training people around the world and stuff. And I was just doing it, bro.
I remember that. I remember that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was jealous. I was still sitting down eating McDonald's.
Right.
But I saw you just ripping. And so to know the type of discipline that it takes, right? I think once again, throughout your story, I continue to hear this discipline, commitment, right? Believing in yourself, not really worrying about what others may think, so forth and so on. And so, yeah, I think that's hugely, hugely important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of us in this radio world, and the people I talk to, listen, everywhere I go, every city, all the other personalities that I've networked with, everybody knows Rick, and everybody to a certain degree owes Rick a thank you, because this guy has mentored so many people. I'll never forget the day when we finally connected, because when Rick was on the radio in Chicago, I didn't know that was my cousin Zurich. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know who it was, but I was that guy that always listened to the radio, like you explained. And my mama came home one day and she said, you know, Rick Party on the radio, that's your cousin Zurich. I was like, are you kidding? And she said, here's his number.
Right.
And when I tell you that this guy brought me in, he sat me down in the studio. Now, this is WGCI, biggest station in Chicago at that time. We on the 30th floor or something like that, overlooking
33.
Overlooking Lake Michigan. And I'm like, wow, you know, and this is what opened my eyes and said, yeah, I want to do this. And Rick showed me. He would walk out of the room and say, run the board. And I'm like, all these buttons, which one? I'm, you know, and then he drove me home. I'll never forget this, Rick. And you might not remember this, but he drove me home that night and he had a photo album. Remember, everybody keeps their photos on their phones now, but back in the day, you had put them in this book, and he had a scrapbook, and he just turned the pages, and he was showing me all his clippings and his news stuff, and autograph cards and different news stories in the newspaper about him. He said, Zannie, you can do this. He said, if you really want to do this, you have everything it takes to do. And he just kept showing it to me, and I mean, it put a fire in me that I never turned off. You know what I mean? So since then I have been doing this, thanks in part to this guy. I mean, a big part of it, he got me started literally. And you have done that for so many people. Where does that drive come from to push people and to really mentor and give all your time and attention to people like that?
It comes from my mother, man. When Kis said earlier that he come to the house and he'd see the generic food there, the corn, the beans, everything was black and white. But still, my mother, a devout Christian, bro. It's like when Pops left and she became single, that's when, we had to get on public aid, and it was rough.
Yeah.
And but I didn't care. Them beans was good, and that corn was good, and that cheese was good.
I ate it all the time.
but mom was still going to church, and but she was still helping people though. Like she would still give people her last. Like there's a lady around the corner whose husband left her and the child, and he kicked them out. And mom let the lady share her bed with her because her bed was empty. Because dad left, and she had the boys share a room with us for a little while. And she was always giving to people when she didn't have anything. And I remember one time we were going to church, and I said something to her about like we don't have no money because you're always giving 10% to church. I may be exaggerating here, but so we both sitting in the front, right? And she was like 5'2". I was 5'11", and she was driving. I'm sitting here. Her right hand, her. Let me move this microphone. So her left hand was holding the steering wheel. Her right hand, it seemed like it went all the way across in slow motion. Pa! Slapped the side of my face. My eyeballs left the car, hit the building, and came back. I will never forget that. And she said, don't you ever, you don't know what the Lord has done for me. You don't know what the Lord has done for y'all. I mean, she gave me that whole speech, and I never forgot that. And when as I got older, I would still say, we still ain't got nothing, to myself, because I would never say it to 5'2" no more. But when I really looked at the big picture, I say, look at how we turned out, though.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
All y'all.
Like, look at how we turned out. Like, that was the blessing. Like, she being so strict, and she, like, having her as a mother was like having Daniel's son having Mr. Miyagi as a mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you washing the fence, you waxing the cars, but you don't know that you learning something.
Yeah, exactly.
Mom was always teaching us something, man. All we had to do was listen. And it was just she was just depositing those little mustard seeds in us. And then eventually they would blossom to what we became.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what the give back is all the way about. Yeah.
If I could, real quick, man, I just got one quick story that I think has me sitting here today. And it was a day where I was with both of you all. Zannie, you had come into town, and you was like, let's go up to GCI. I'm like, yeah, right. You're like, we're going to go up and hang out with Rick Party. And it was during the time I was on my comedy thing, right? Yeah. And I was getting on stage, and we were sitting in the studio. I was in awe of this studio, and you were doing your call-in relationship kind of days.
Yeah.
And that's when I had the character Darnell Davis that talked with a bit.
Darnell Davis.
Out of nowhere. And I would be lying if I didn't tell you this is why I'm as quick on my feet as I am now. Because I said that I was a comedian, and right in that moment, you were like, all right, be a comedian. Hey, young lady, in the studio, we have Mr. Darnell Davis. He's going to be, and we went through that thing, right? And we laughed and we had a good time, but it's moments, once again, paint the fence, put your coat on, take your coat off. It's opportunities like that I feel like whenever I doubt myself, I feel like, now I remember that day I was sitting up at GCI and I got thrown into that situation.
Yeah.
And I was productive in that situation. So that's my thanks to you. That was an opportunity, right, to get my thing done.
Yeah.
Remember that day because Darnell Davis just took over the show, right? For like an hour. And Rick had to say, okay, listen, Darnell is gone. Y'all stop calling.
Did I say that for real, man?
Because he go. Rick was like, this the Rick Party show.
It's
It's
like,
not
Donnell.
Donnell Davis.
Oh, don't forget
Because
your
it was
jacket too over
silly.
there, man. Get your jacket. No.
It was
No,
silly,
like-
man. It was silly. It was so silly. She said, "What would you do if you took me on a date?" And for whatever reason, you put on a soft bed of music. And I said, "I'd take you to the drive-in, and then I get under some covers in the back and let you drive in by yourself, or I ain't got to pay." And the room went crazy. But I will tell you, man, I cannot thank you enough because that opportunity showed the strength in me that I didn't
creating
have.
opportunities and just still on a major level creating opportunities. You wanted to talk a little bit about what was it, Kiss?
Voiceovers. The day that I heard you on ESPN and I realized who that was, for as much as I watch ESPN, I went bananas. And I told everybody across the country, like, no, straight up, I know this guy, right? I remember telling my son, Chris, this guy right here, we know him very well. He didn't believe me. The voiceovers, obviously the radio, and you traveled all over the country. What kind of move you into that area in terms of start doing voiceovers and give you that confidence to believe that people would listen to you?
So some friends of mine, they wanted me to do a narration. I had done voiceovers here and there for people. And I didn't know what it was called and I know what it was about. I just know I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like reading copy for people. I didn't want to stay at the radio station and read copy, but people always wanted me to, and I didn't like it. So I've been doing it years prior, but I didn't know it's called voiceover. But some friends said they have a documentary coming out, and they wanted me to narrate the Tupac documentary. It's called Before I Wake, which now airs on Fuse and MTV and all these things.
Yeah, I caught it on Tubi.
That was the first narration I ever did. I had no real training on narration. I know how to do some commercials and stuff. I think it was like just speak clearly, or I always got to say speak properly. Like, what's proper though? Like, really what's proper? So I narrated this thing. It seemed like it took me like 3 or 4 days to do it. You know, the audio, I didn't know how to really use the audio. I have my own equipment and stuff like that. I didn't know how to use it, but I got the bug. I got the bug when my buddy Sean Long. Do you know Sean Long? Okay, I thought maybe Sean Long may have went to school with Zannie. But Sean Long and Paul Hutchinson, they were the producers. So Paul gave me a CD-ROM of a digital audio workstation for me to edit, and it was called Cool Edit. Remember Cool Edit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he gave me Cool Edit, which is now Adobe Audition. And I said, what does this do? He said, you could edit music. You could do multi-tracks. And I said, well, how do you do multi-tracks? How do you do it? He said, just pop it in. You're going to just have to learn it. He gave me a burner, right? Popped it in. And I just started. I was like, oh my gosh, you know what I can do? I could do commercials. I could do movie trailers. I was like, woo, I got my own studio in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I was asking my friends, like, what's the proper mics to get? And they told me all the microphones to get. And I was going to Radio Shack just buying a bunch of junk. And that's what, drove me into voiceover and to do this fused narration. I kept buying different equipment, and I started listening to people that really do this. And then I really got the bug. And I made a demo and to be the voice of radio stations. And I put it on this site called Urban Insight. Do you remember Urban Insight?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And my first demo was, and I built my first company name was Sizzle Productions.
Yep.
I remember.
So with Sizzle, I placed my demo on that site, and I was like, there's like, all right, it's more like sizzling. It ain't really popping. You know what I'm saying? And that pissed me off. And I went back in the studio, man. I was working tirelessly day and night. While the pros were sleeping, collecting their money, I was listening to them do what they do. Like, what makes Pat Garrett so good? What makes Mitch Faulkner so good? What makes whomever so good? And I listened to them, and I listened to them with a tight ear. How's Trey Black just killing it? MC Spice just And I listened to them. I put all of them in a bag and I shook it up and out came me. And I presented this demo again. I sent it to, I got bold this time. I didn't put it on Urban Insight. I sent it to the VP of Urban Programming for iHeart, which was Clear Channel at the time. I sent it to Doc Winter. I sent it to Steve Hegwood. I sent it to Michael Saunders in Detroit. I sent it to Reggie Rouse in DC. And all of them called me back.
Yeah.
All of them called me back. I knew that
baby.
demo. That demo was woo. and in fact, Doc Winter said, "Yo, we about to start some hip hop stations around the country, and I want to put you on 20 of them." I was like, "What?"
Doc is that guy.
I had to take a drink, bro. I had to get a drink, man.
Yeah.
And I had my little drink. I went into my head, and I was just killing it, man. And then more opportunities came. Cynthia Johnson, who worked for Warner Brothers, Columbia at the time, she said to me, since you're doing this voiceover thing, Destiny's Child is receiving the Sammy Davis Jr. Award at the Soul Train Awards. I want you to introduce them. He's like, you want me to be the voice of Destiny's Child receiving this thing? She said, yeah. So my voice is on. That was one of my first big jobs, the Soul Train Awards. Then other jobs would come, and then B.E.T. came that year.
Yes.
They just wanted me to do a promo. My buddy, really quick, this quick story. Kelly G. Y'all remember Kelly G?
Yeah, I know Kelly.
So Kelly got on the radio because I met him at a Noop party. He was spinning. And I said, man, you really good, man. I need a mixer for my show. And he said, I'd also make remixes. I said, well, remake my Coca-Cola Top 9 at 9. And he made my Coca-Cola Top 9 at 9. Rick. Remember that one had the
Yep.
Kelly produced that, and he made my Rick Party. He made that song.
Yeah.
That's the one everybody know, right?
Yeah.
Gangster.
Then Kelly came and he became the mixer. Then he became the producer for the Crazy Howard Morning Show. And then Stephen Hill from BET was looking for someone to become the music director at 106 and Park. And Stephen and Elroy Smith were good friends because they worked in Boston together. Yeah. So they hired Kelly to become the music director. Then Kelly said, hey, Rick, BET is looking for somebody to do a promo, a PSA. And I told him that you're in the voiceover. I said, okay. They didn't know me. So the lady Timbisa sent me a script to do it. And she got it back in like 5 to 10 minutes. She was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like that and it's good?
Yeah.
And that was it. I became the voice of BET for 10 years after that because I tell people that you can have all the talent in the world. Somebody may be better than you, but you have to, and talent is important, but more than anything, you have to know how to become a business partner. See, I became a business partner with BET because I knew that BET had to, they had to meet that schedule for their sponsors. So if they needed me to do something, this promo or this show is sponsored by so-and-so, I needed to say that. And because I was able to flip it out fast and make it great, that was the relationship for 10 years, man. Anything they wanted, I was doing the sponsorships, the movie promos, the TV promos, everything.
Yeah.
Because they can count on me. I was reliable, you know.
And that's what, and along those lines, I remember here in Detroit, I was running a radio station here, and Rick is the voice of the station. And like, I would need something quickly, like, cause I'm like you, like if I get the voiceover, I can put it together myself. You know what I mean? And it's on the air. Man, you send Rick a script. 30 seconds later, 30 seconds later, be in your email. I'd be like, what? And so I was like, watch this. And I would just tell people, watch this. And I would send it. And sure enough, you looking at the finished product. So
that was like the AI before AI was a thing, man.
That's right, baby. That's right, baby.
Yeah.
So Rick, we like to do this thing. We call it Top 5 and Why. And for you, we know that because when we talking about celebs, KisAlan?
We did. We talked about this Top 5 and Why. We know that you've been in and around America and the world for that matter. We talked about the top 5 celebs that you've hung out with, interviewed, and why. interesting stories around those top 5 individuals. If you can think through that, don't want to put you on the spot.
Oh, I got this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, come on.
I'm gonna give you a 2-and-1 really quick. A 2-and-1 here. So I was going to the Black Beach thing. I think it was on Daytona Beach. Everybody was there, right?
Yeah.
And we were hanging out at the Adams Mark Hotel. You know, the record companies paid for it. So our job was to go there and take a record and get drops from everybody. Method Man, Redman, Biggie, Luke. Everybody was there, man. Everybody you name was there. So we were still on the same floor with Biggie. And Biggie was, you know, he was the hot thing at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So we decided to go to Biggie's room to get a drop from him. And there's this young lady standing outside with blonde hair. And I said, well, what's your name? And she said, my name is Faith Evans. I said, okay. I said, what do you do? I said, are you a groupie or something? And she said, no. And we were laughing. And in fact, no, I think my buddy Dr. Love said that. That wasn't me. So, because Dr. Love and I were together. So she said, I'm the first lady of Bad Boy. You gonna know who I am. I said, well, let me get a drop from you then. And she said, well, what's that? Just say your name. Say, this is Faith Evans. I'm with Bad Boy, the first lady, yada, yada. And I'm listening to Rick Party on WGCI. And boom, she did it. That was her first drop she ever did. Faith Evans. Wow. So this is almost 3. I'm gonna give you 3 right there, right? So I said, we trying to get a drop from Biggie and or an interview. So she was just outside chilling. I guess they were talking some business. Biggie and Craig Mack were in the room. So they come out and she goes, hey, this is Ricky Party from WGCI and Dr. Love. They want to drop. And he's like, okay, we'll do it. Just, hey, they're about to go across the street and put on the concert, right? With all those guys, Method Man, Redman, Biggie. So he said, just follow us. So we in the entourage with Biggie and Craig Mack and Faith. We walking down the hotel and walking out to go across the street, right? So I see my boy Luke Skywalker. Uncle Luke.
Uncle Luke.
Yeah,
Luke is outside. And I knew Luke from Miami. Luke used to have a restaurant called Luke's, the most beautiful restaurant ever. I mean, all the security guys wore tuxedos. I mean, it was elegant. But on Sunday nights, Luke did what Luke did. All right, that's all I'm gonna say, right? So I saw Luke. Luke was outside the stadium that he was supposed to perform in while we were Biggie. He's handcuffed.
Ooh.
He's handcuffed because of freedom of speech.
Right.
They didn't want him to perform those songs and have those lewd acts perform on stage. I guess they warned him not to come in there. And I was like, wow, that was a moment. I was like, man, my boy Luke is out here. He's supposed to be performing. He's getting arrested. And Biggie just keeps pushing. He got to go do his thing. And then we see Luke, and I believe that probably made news. You know, Luke Skywalker gets arrested.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hanging out with 3 of them, and we go inside. We have a good time. Biggie does his thing. We form a relationship. So every time Biggie would come to Chicago, he come to my show. You know, he always come to my show. Every time he perform at the nightclub, you know, I'm hosting the club, and that's what it was, man. I mean, and I built all of these relationships. People like Common would come to the station. He was, what's his name? Real Rashid or something, right?
Rashid, yeah.
Yeah. Derek Dudley, his promoter, brought him to the station. He said, this is Common. He goes by the name of Common Sense. He blowing up, you know, I think they were putting him on JPC because I think Pink House was doing JPC, the hip hop station.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to be on the big station, GCI, and his name was Common Sense. I said, let me hear this. I said, man, you got something here, bro. Like you. I said, and so we interviewed, and I asked the typical question, you know, like, you know, who are some of the people who inspired you? You know what I'm saying? And he said he was inspired by Redman. Like he really loved Redman, and that from that point, we really formed a relationship from there. I could call Common anytime, and he pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And it was like that for so many people. Ludacris, when I had left Chicago to go to, now this is very interesting. I left Chicago to go to another radio show to do afternoons. I was tired of doing the night show. I was tired of doing the kiddie show. I wanted to do the adult show.
Yeah.
And so I did the afternoon show in Atlanta, and I was cooking. I was cooking in Atlanta, man. I could do all the things that I couldn't do in Chicago. I became a bad boy in Atlanta.
Yeah, almost like a shock jock.
I was a shock jock.
Yeah.
Like people, they hated me because
They
like,
hated
oh, he's
Rick.
so arrogant, he's so full of himself. But it was just a persona, right? And I had all of these designers giving me clothes, making Italian silk suits, and I'm walking in clubs with suits, and celebrities are calling me up. Lisa Left Eye Lopez calling me up. You know, I'm giving her a Tickle Me Elmo doll on the radio. I'm auctioning it off for a lady whose house was burned down, and we're selling this Tickle Me Elmo on the radio. Who wants to buy this? We're auctioning it off right now. The starting bid $100, and then it went to $300 to $900 to $1,200 to $2,000. Lisa Lopez probably closed out at $3,000 and $5,000, something like that. Everybody listened to my show, man. Everybody was calling, man. And I was just doing whatever I wanted to do. Like I brought Rick Party there. I had the Rick Party theme song.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey had been at GCI, and he gave me the biggest endorsement before I left Chicago. And I recorded it, right? So when he knew I was leaving, he's like, Chicago, one of the baddest man on the radio, Rick Party, nighttime. He about to leave. Y'all don't know. Woo! Y'all don't know Atlanta. Y'all don't know what y'all about to get. Y'all don't know. You know, this is a bad, bad man. You know, Steve was doing all that, and I recorded that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, in Chicago, we're going to miss him. But Atlanta, y'all better get ready. This is just Steve talking. He didn't do me a favor, but he did do me a favor.
Yeah.
I used that recording as my sign-on in Atlanta. I played Steve Harvey's, and he was already on the Apollo 2 while doing GCI. So when I played that, then he said, Atlanta, get ready. And then I played this little corny little, hey, hey, we're the monkeys. The people say we monkey around. And I know people like, and then I played a little scratch. Man, what was that? And then, boom, Rick Party. My song came on. And when it's time for the talk, man, I was cooking. I was cooking, bro.
Yeah,
I had all the phone calls, the request lines, and I was the hottest thing in Atlanta, and everybody wanted to meet me. That's when the Lisa Left Eye Lopez, everybody's calling my show, Jermaine Dupri, Nas, like everybody lived there. Luda was working at the station across the street. He was a part-timer. He did a show called Future Flavors with a guy by the name of Poon Daddy. And I was like, this kid is pretty good, man. He raps over the song. His name was Chris Lover Love at the time.
Yep, absolutely.
So I met Chris Lover Love at a remote broadcast, and he came up to me and he said, hey, man, my name is Chris Lover Lover. I do the weekend show with Poon. I said, with Poon Daddy, right? I said, listen to your show all the time. He said, for real, man? I said, yeah. He said, I just want to say, man, I really look up to you. I love what you're doing. I said, thank you, man. I said, listen, here's my number. Anything you need, call me. I always tell people, listen, call me anytime. There's no such thing as calling me too much. There's no such thing as a crazy question.
Yeah.
I'm just a faucet left on. Whatever you want to ask me, I'm gonna give it to you. And
that's beautiful.
And I never forgot that because I poured into people. Like I had my fun on the radio, but when you know how it is, Zannie, when the mic is off, and you know too, Kiss, when the mic is off and we're not performing. We just human beings, man. We ain't trying to make people laugh. We're not loud. We just chilling. We didn't want to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was who I was. And I never forgot that it was my mother who put that mustard seed in. It was growing. It was growing to give back. So I got fired from Atlanta for doing too much. You know, I was there for 2.5 years. The ratings were high. I was doing too much. But I never forget the day when my GM said, you're very talented. We love you. The ratings are higher than it ever been. But he said to me, you are more of a liability than you are an asset. I was like, whoa, that hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
So I called Elroy Smith at GCI, and he said, yeah, I heard that you're not there anymore. Would you like to come back to Chicago? I said, yeah. I said, how soon do you need me there? And he said, by next week or 2 weeks or whatever that was. So I already had a job waiting for me. In fact, he created a space for me because
I remember that. Commit to Rick from 3 to 6.
Because George Wallace and Gene Sparrow were doing the 2 to 6 show. So he moved them down from 12 to 3 and put me on from 3 to 6. So he created an extra show.
Wow.
And that's how Commit to Rick was born. And I was like, when I would think back to that, I was like, man, you're a favorite, bro, and you don't even realize it. Like do something with that. Like, don't have all of this power. Like, really do something. It's okay to be nice, but do something with that, man. You know,
Absolutely.
and it was growing. It was growing. And so Luda had become famous by this time. He called me up and he said, "Hey, I want to I just did a hook, a Timbaland and Magoo song, and I want you to listen to it." So he sent me the CD, let me hear it. And I was like, "Man, you doing it just like you was doing the radio, Lil Raps on the radio." And then he got signed to Def Jam South, right?
Yep. He was the
So I
first
spent a
artist to get signed to Def Jam South. Scarface launched Def Jam South in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say another couple years at GCI, then go to Kiss FM, where I would meet a lot of people, Pink, NSYNC, Jennifer Love Hewitt, you know. I was doing the photo out with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and she came to the station. I interviewed her, and when she was taking a picture of me, she was all wrapped up in me. And she was like smelling on me and all this stuff. And she kept asking me my name, and she kept looking on me and looking at me and rubbing my face. And the white guys that work at the station, they you are like one of the whitest black guys we ever know. Like, dude, do you see that she was hitting on you, bro? Like I said, no, she's just being nice. It's like, no. Then Jennifer Love Hewitt called a few times, called the radio station a few times. Where's that guy? Tell him we're going to, we have a party over here. We want him to come. And I was like, no, I was nervous, bro. I couldn't.
Come on, Rick.
Do you know that she dated Lenny Kravitz? I was like, for real? See, I had no idea.
Right,
but
right. I get that.
Then I would get the messages from the record label people saying Jennifer is coming to Chicago. She wants you to, like, this kept happening, man. I was like, what is going on here? But I was busy in the streets anyway. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, you know.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to mess that up, man. So that was that.
It's TIPI gang. We are joined today by a family member for me and KisAlan. This guy's a legendary broadcaster, a voiceover talent. You have heard him everywhere, including if you watch SportsCenter as much as I do every single day. And I still get excited about that, man. He's the voice of B.E.T. He's heard on over 30 radio stations nationwide. And we're just picking his brain a little bit. We talked a little bit about like your work ethic and all the people you help and how you always give back. I love that imagery of you being a faucet that just stays on.
Yes.
What does Rick Party do for fun? What do you do for fun? Do you ever not work and just
you know what? As crazy as this sounds, I love my work, man.
That's what's up.
I just like I'm at a home right now in my home studio, and this is something I would dream of this, like being able to work from home. I'm able to do a radio show from home. I'm able to voice around the country from home, and it fills my heart to do what I've always loved this since I was a kid, man.
Yeah.
It made me feel good because this microphone right here, it reaches the world, man. Like, not only do we do our promos and we get to make people laugh and evoke their emotions, we get to change lives with this microphone right here, man.
Yeah, man. Every day.
I mean, y'all know how it is, man. I mean, you know, Kiss, like when you're performing or when you're speaking to people, you don't know what type of day people have. And Zannie, when you're on the radio, you don't know what people are going through. But when you say something, they're like, man, I needed to hear that message.
Yeah.
Or I just needed to laugh, or I needed to. And I didn't realize that we're doctors, man. You know, we're curing these people. There are times when people call up radio stations like, I'm gonna harm myself. And it was our responsibility to stay on the phone. And I just felt like it's my obligation to just make people feel good, because I know the things that I've gone through in life, and I know what depression feels like. I know what it feels like to be to be at the position where, you know, you're trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure out, like, where's the next dime gonna come from? And I know what that felt like. And I know there are people like that. There are more people out there than not. And I said the best thing that we can do, because one thing's for sure and another thing's for certain, is that we're gonna be born and we're gonna die. Those are the two things. And my thing is like, what do you do in between? You make people feel good.
Yeah.
You know, you make people feel good. And I love this space that I'm in because it's my feel good space, you know, and it's my fun space.
Absolutely.
And other than that, being a father, you know, my daughter's right in the other room right now, Zion, just to be able to do everything that I love and have my daughter right here and watch her grow up, because it's always been about me. Now I get to watch Zion grow up. Like you get to watch Devin grow up. Like you get a chance to do it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we were
yeah.
young fathers.
Yes.
Like we weren't able to do it like KisAlan, been married for 100 years, man. You know. But which is a beautiful thing, though. You don't see more of that, and we applaud you for that, man. And we have the opportunity to get it right. So watching my daughter grow up, become a young lady, really just like, and hold me accountable for some things. Like, you know, you be in front of this microphone, and you think you're so smart, and you think you know everything, and she'll say, "Dad, that was ignorant." You know? I'm like, explain how, you know. So we have these interesting conversations too. Like she's an honor student, man. She's on all sorts of honor clubs, and and she plays the flute, and she has an eclectic taste of music. She listens to everything from Tyler the Creator to Lave, and she's a jazz artist. I mean, she listens to jazz and pop, and she'll go back as far as, come over here, Zion.
Is she there?
Is she? Wow.
Oh, I thought you were in.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up, superstar?
Dang.
We were talking about some of the artists that you like. Name some of the artists that you like that are different from others.
That are different from others?
Like, I was talking about Lave, then you like Tyler.
Yeah, Lave, SZA, Tyler the Creator, Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah. Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me think. Biba Doobie.
Yeah, Biba Doobie.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Pink Panthers?
Yeah, Pink Panther.
She listens to a lot of stuff. All right.
I'm getting kicked out. Okay.
Oh, these are your uncles right here.
Oh,
Zannie and Alan right here. Yeah, yes.
That's right.
What's up?
This is the big brother. That's the little brother up there at the top. Yeah. and really quick, let me tell you this. So Zannie and Alan, our mothers were sisters, best friends in high school.
Right.
And they became pregnant around the same time. Auntie Regina, their mother, they met in high school, right? So she was gonna have a baby, and she said, "I'm gonna name my baby Zannie Gerard." And Mom said, "Well, I want my baby to have a similar name, so I'm gonna name him Zurich Geron." You know,
That's right.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
Zannie
That's
Geron
right.
and Zurich Gerard. But your middle name starts with a G, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gerard.
yours-
Yep.
Yeah, mine start with a J. But she had to get a name with a Z. And she said she just chose a name because of the last name in the Illinois Bell telephone book.
Wow.
And my first name was Zurich. And if you remember, we got a big Polish community in Chicago.
Yep.
So Zurich is a Polish name. And in Poland, Zurich means soup, Sudik. So I have some friends that call me Soupy. What up, Soupy?
What's up, Soupy?
Yeah.
Oh
so-
man, that is
Yeah,
great.
so-
It's so good to see you, Zion.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do my work. Try to be a good student.
Yeah.
That's
So
what's up.
Zion, like, she's multi-talented. You know, she does well in school. She plays, she's in the band. She plays the flute. She plays the piccolo. She plays the trumpet. Like, she really just plays the flute, but she just loves studying stuff. Like she listens to all this music, and then she'll be playing the flute, and then she has enough time to play the games too. Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you know all of these lyrics? How do you know the lyric to Bill Withers? Ain't no sun. How do you know this stuff? Like, she is weird, bro. She's from another planet, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right. We can't get out of here without acknowledging more family members. I know, Rick, you've seen this. This is, our youngest brother, Shadi created this in honor of our dad Donald. Big Don's barbecue sauce. You got the spicy. You got the original. Check this out at Big Don's Collection .2020. No, take two. At Big Don's Collection EST .2020. Order up some of this, man. Rick, we got to send you out some. I know
D actually sent me some like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I ran out in a week. It was that good. I put that ish on everything, man.
That's right.
I put it on everything.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know if you've seen this one, but KisAlan doing his thing with the KisAlan Experience vodka.
Nice.
And speaking of running out, bruh, I need some cases.
I got you.
I told him, Rick, he only gave me this one bottle. I told him, Rick, I'll take a sip a month. One sip.
Oh, yeah?
Not even a shot, just a sip.
That's what's up.
And tell them where they can get this one at again.
NG Distilleries. It's NG, my main man, Noel Garcia. He's a local distillery, Black owned. He's doing his thing. We sat down for about 3 months and crafted a sipping vodka.
Yeah.
It is absolutely delicious. ngdistilleries.com.
Yep, check them out. So we got to show some love to the fam on that, man. Rick, where because we talked about your voiceover platform, but where else can we find you? What are your socials? Where else can people look for you and discover more about Rick Party?
Well, I would really just say go to rickparty.com. If you go to rickparty.com, it leads you to everything. I've got the icon that'll send you right to my Instagram, my handles, which is Rick Party Live, which is my main one, and then I have the Rick Party Method. Rickparty.com will see you there. The Rick Party Method is where I coach people voiceover,
right?
Stuff like that. So yeah, and you can listen to my work, you can see my work, and it's all there. Rickparty.com.
That's what's up. Kiss, you anything you wanted to add?
Man, just an absolute pleasure. I love running my mouth, but sitting here listening to you all. Still after so many years, the excitement to share stories. I felt like I just got a history lesson, right?
Yeah.
For a bunch I didn't know, I watched you all go through this, but for a bunch I didn't know, I was a fly on the wall, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. I had a good time.
That's what's up. It's TIPI. If y'all like it, man, y'all subscribe. We know we get them subscriptions up. I appreciate you. We're gonna put it on the screen here so you'll know where to go.
Yeah.
What you got? I can't see what you got.
I got hoodies. I got Kisism hoodies.
Alan trying to say
the first 10 that subscribe, I will send you out a hoodie. We got hoodies all sizes and colors. Please subscribe, like the channel.
Show me the hoodie again. Show it. Hold it right in front of your chest.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can see it. Right, because it was kind of getting blurred out.
Oh, KisAlan.
It's premium cotton.
It's so soft. I got one.
Stitched on patch that talks about KisIsms. It's a book that'll be out pretty soon around leadership, my 25 principles of leadership in a real ghetto, digestible way.
That's what's up.
In a real hood way. In a real hood.
And then we also have the KisAlan Experience t-shirts. You get a chance, go on, subscribe, like the channel. We're going to raffle off a ton of this information, but more importantly, continue to follow. The interesting part is because we have some of the most interesting guests talking about some of the most interesting things in and around America.
That's right. Big shout out to Rick Party for joining the platform today.
Hey, man, y'all, thanks for having me on. This was fun, man. TIPI,
baby. As always in party, we remind you, fly low. Rick, you know this one.
Avoid the radar.
And no matter what happens, when they come for the car, save
the radio.
TIPI.
Peace.
Our history is like two iconic breaking ground, making history in separate ways.
Let's proceed with what I feel is the most interesting part of the program.
All the interesting things going on in the news.
It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
There are some interesting details relating to all this. Now listen.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. If you can't be at least mildly interesting, then shut the hell up.
Let's see if they've got any interesting guests coming up.
I don't want to be rude here, but my stories are interesting.